Hailie Deegan is out of her ride for the Chicago Street Course race this weekend. Joey Logano will be filling in. Is this temporary, or is she looking for a ride for the rest of 2024?
High, push it, checker flag, hell yeah!
What's the caution for? Me?
Can I not push it in?
Stop anybody.
Come on, you guys! You're waiting out, boys! One hell of a job, man, one hell of a job! Thank you so much.
Oh, I know, you trolls are gonna love this one. Welcome on into Shifting Gears. I'm Alan Bailey. We have a lot to discuss, namely Miss Hailie Deegan and her future, not only in the NASCAR Xfinity Series and with AM Racing, but in general in the motorsports world. Does she have a future? We will discuss it, and before we get on into it, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a video, and of course, log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. Let's do this. Let's back up and actually talk about how we got here. How did Hailie Deegan get here, and what mistakes were made with her getting into the NASCAR Xfinity Series in 2024? Let's go back 5 years to her K&N days. She started in K&N, racing in the number 19. She was in the Toyota pipeline. Supposedly, she was going to be put up into a Gibbs car at some point down the road, or at least that was the goal, depending on how her development went. But according to her, at the time, there was a lot of broken promises from Toyota. Things weren't really going well with her progressing beyond the K&N series. However, she was running 3rd to 5th on track most weekends. She was 3rd to 5th in points for the entire season, and she was contending for wins and running up front and looking pretty competitive. Off the racetrack, I should say, she was going out and doing a lot of sponsor appearances, a lot of guest host spots on a lot of social media content, and was really developing an amazing brand online for herself and for her audience. And that is all well and good. It's wonderful. It's great. I love to watch those videos back in the day. I still watch her videos occasionally. And it was really cool to see how she spends her time away from the racetrack, but also how she gets ready for race day and what happens behind the scenes on any given race weekend. It was very, very, very interesting. And it showed to me she was serious. She was putting the work in and actually trying to improve her craft as a race car driver. Now, let's go to December 2019. She signs a deal with Ford, a developmental deal. They didn't announce how long it would be, but we're hearing it was somewhere between 5 and 10 years of a developmental contract to be in a Ford. And we know that there was a lot of money behind this one. Hailie Deegan was very sought after at the time. Now, she was making some ARCA starts. She made a lone truck start in 2020, and she was doing okay. She struggled for top fives, and really you had Sam Mayer and Ty Gibbs in that series at the time shining, developing, showing what they could do, and they obviously went on to bigger and better things, with Ty Gibbs now full-time in the Cup Series, Sam Mayer full-time in the Xfinity Series in 2024, and both winning races, at least in the Xfinity level, not so much in the Cup yet for these two drivers. But then, for some reason, Ford went ahead and jumped her up into the Truck Series full-time in 2021, driving the number 1 for David Gilliland Racing turned Tricon Garage after Toyota signed a deal with them down the road. Now, she did get her first top 10, 21st average finish, 21st in points. Very average, but respectable. Then 2022, the next year, she did the exact same thing and was outpointed on the racetrack at the end of the year by several part-timers, including Ryan Preece, who made like 10 less starts than her at the time. Not a good look. A lot of people said, including myself, oh, you know, that truck's not up to snuff. It's a kind of a mid-pack truck, and she's been struggling out there. Lack of practice time. The excuses go around the block. But the first step in fixing a problem is admitting that there is one, and there is clearly a problem here. There was a problem in the Truck Series at the time. But in 2022, she also made her first NASCAR Xfinity Series start in a Stewart-Haas Racing prepared car that finished 13th at Las Vegas. Pretty impressive, solid run. Didn't get into any trouble, kept the nose clean, and showed she does have some talent for this. And I do think that Hailie Deegan is a talented race car driver that can succeed in NASCAR. I just question how quickly she was rushed up with very little success to actually prove it. Let's fast forward to last year, 2023. Moved to the Thor Sport number 13 truck. They get back with Ford. Now, the entire year, 2 top 10s, 21st average in the point standings, 19th in the points at the end of the year. But 2 of her teammates, of the 3 that she had, made the playoffs, and one of them would go on to win the championship in 2023. Now, we look at how the 2024 drivers that have been put in that 13 car part-time have kind of fared up. They're outperforming Hailie Deegan. They've got more out of that truck than Hailie Deegan did for whatever reason. Now, after 3 not-so-great years in the Truck Series, for some reason that warranted an Xfinity ride full-time in 2024. And so far in the 17 starts she has made for AM Racing in the number 15 in 2024, she has an average start of 29th. Not that great. She has an average finish of 26.8. Again, not that great. She has 4 finishes on the lead lap of her 17 starts. That is not good. I get that you're slow. I get that you're in a car that necessarily doesn't have the speed, but that's still not that great. And I get it. This team has struggled. They're currently looking for a crew chief. They let go of their crew chief a few weeks ago. It's a weird situation, but let's actually look at this. She's 27th in points right now. She is dead last of all of the full-time drivers in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But she, at the moment, is behind Eric Almirola, who only has 5 starts in the series this season, Kyle Sieg with his 14 starts this season, and she is 4 points ahead of Matt DiBenedetto, who has 12 starts this season, less than her. And this one's really damning to me. Ryan Truex is 11 points behind her in the point standings. He's only made 6 starts, less than half of the starts Hailie Deegan has made in 2024 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series season. Now, let's compare to what that 15 car or the 25 car did last year for AM Racing with Brett Moffitt driving. Brett, in 2023 in that car, had 1 more top 5 at this point of the season, had 9 more top 10s. He had 12 better spots in the points than Hailie Deegan has at the moment, and was 9 spots better with his average finish on the racetrack. That is not a good look. Across the board, Hailie Deegan is underperforming. There is no way around that. Now, that brings us to the announcement that came out this week from AM Racing that Joey Logano will, quote, fill in for Hailie Deegan, unquote, this weekend at the Chicago Street Course, driving the number 15 Ford for AM Racing. Now, there has been no mention of if Hailie Deegan has been fired or not. Let's be very clear there. She may be fired, she may not be fired, but either way, AM Racing said, your services are not required this weekend in Chicago. Stay home. And that's a little bit damning. Now, Logano, what does the prospect for that number 15 look like this weekend in Chicago? Logano did not race the NASCAR Xfinity Series race last year at the Chicago Street Course, but instead, in the Cup race that he ran, he finished 8th in that Chicago Street Course race. So Logano does have a pretty good track record on this course, given that was in the wet and in a very wild race, but still, Logano, coming home with a top 10 bodes well for this organization. What did Brett do last year in the number 25 for AM Racing at the Chicago Street Course in the NASCAR Xfinity Series? He started top 10 and finished 4th. Best finished for that organization that came just a year ago. And given the fact that they went ahead and let go of their crew chief, they're currently looking for a full-time crew chief at AM Racing. Given the fact that this car is underperforming across the board, given the fact that Stewart-Haas Racing is losing its funding from Ford and their satellite programs, essentially, aka AM Racing, isn't necessarily getting the best equipment that they once did, let's just say, last year. I think that these are more and more and more excuses. And yes, some of these are valid. Some of them are vapid. Some of them are brought up out of thin air. But again, first step in fixing a problem is admitting that there is one, and there is a massive problem with Hailie Deegan. What is it? Initially, I thought she was struggling when she got into the Truck Series because of the lack of practice. She was a rookie who, quite literally in 2021, was being thrown onto the racetrack with not a single lap run in the truck at that racetrack. That is an extraordinarily difficult thing to do. And I don't think she's ever recovered from that, if I'm being honest. I think she struggled in trucks, obviously, her 3 years, and now she's struggling in the Xfinity Series with, let's be blunt here, a mid-pack team. That's what this team is. It is not a championship contender. I think you're fooling yourself if you think that's what this team is. However, I do think they are a top 20 capable team. And it's going to be interesting to see what Joey Logano does this weekend in that car. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, does Hailie Deegan have a future in NASCAR? I don't know. I sincerely do not know. A part of me says go back down to the Truck Series, make some starts, but I don't think that's necessarily going to make things better. I think her best case scenario is AM Racing having an alliance with another big cup team, maybe Penske, maybe somebody who has an Xfinity Series program that's going well. Ultimately, I don't know if that's necessarily going to fix it because you're still banking on the fact that Hailie Deegan will be your driver next year. There were rumors that they wanted Brett Moffitt in the number 25 full-time for 2 cars out of AM Racing, and it never happened. So I sincerely question, maybe this organization is underfunded. Maybe they're getting equipment that's not necessarily the best. The fact that you have a rookie who, frankly, has been struggling across the board is not good. But at the end of the day, will Hailie Deegan continue to be in NASCAR in 2024 and in 2025? Maybe. But all signs are saying that more than likely she's not going to have a ride for very much longer. Yes, it doesn't say that she's fired according to this press release that came out from AM Racing this week, but the fact that they're leaving it very ambiguous tells me they don't even know at this time. I think ultimately they're going to throw Logano in the car this weekend and then maybe reassess after this weekend and really figure out, okay, are we going to just put cup regulars in this car and rattle off some decent finishes and get some good data? Or are we going to throw the rookie back in and try not to wreck out? I don't know. Should be interesting. But I want to hear what you have to say. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think Hailie Deegan should be given another shot in the NASCAR Xfinity or the Truck Series? And do you see her in NASCAR in 2025? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're there, make sure that you mash that subscribe button so that you do not miss a video. And of course, log on to arnrace.com for the latest motorsports news. ARN, the Motorsports Authority. We're going to go ahead and do another episode later this week. It might be a diecast download. It might be something else. You're just going to have to come on back and stay tuned. But either way, this will be our final video before the 4th of July holiday weekend, extended weekend. So happy 4th of July, happy Independence Day, and make sure that you come on back later this week. Have a very safe and happy holiday weekend. For everyone here at Shifting Gears and ARN, I'm Alan Bailey. We'll see you at the track.